Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. This is Autonomy Quest. And thank you for being here. I really appreciate your time. It's Friday evening. It's a lot of stuff going on. I'm sure a lot of people could be doing a lot of stuff, but they took the time to come to this place, to this space. So thank you. Thank you for joining us. Like I said, it's good to have you. And tonight we're going to be talking with an autonomy graduate. And also, I get to say, lucky enough, I could call a friend of mine who we met through autonomy. This is David Phipps. Welcome, David.
Thank you, Ed. Happy to be here.
Good, good, good. Glad to have you. I'm glad to have you. Thank you for stepping up and sharing and being willing to share your story for the autonomy quest. And this, I, my, what I know about you, and from being in our mastermind group together, I'm sure this is going to be a well-received interview. So I was looking forward to it all week. So let's just do this brief interview. And so when I start asking you questions, you can just feel free to talk and flow as you will. And I'm going to tell you something that if you get off track, just let me know, give me a head fake or something, and I'll repeat the question so we could steer that thing back on track. Okay.
Sounds
No,
good.
no
Yeah.
worries.
Yeah.
Just a couple of fellas having a conversation. That's all.
All right. All right.
All right. So, okay, I think there's a few gifts for people who stick around at the end. I think my co-host Aaron is going to handle that in the background. He's dealing with the chat, so you have that. No worries with that. So let's get into it. All right. So, hey Dave, travel back in time to before you got wind of autonomy, before you decided to join, and why don't you share with us some ways that maybe you thought you were stuck in life, or maybe you was at a standstill in some way? Maybe you could share that with us.
Yeah. I'd say before I enrolled in autonomy, I was doing pretty well at my career. I feel like I was meeting challenges and overcoming them, but probably with a little more difficulty than before I got into autonomy. What I took away from autonomy was having just a better attitude overall, that attitude of gratitude, and not being afraid to fail, not being afraid of what might happen if you fail, and just being open to that idea of, hey, I'm not going to get this right, but let's regroup, let's think through it, and trusting yourself to be able to do the right things in like a stressful situation, and having that, knowing that you have that ability, and if you don't have it yet, you have the tools to learn it. I think autonomy for me has really opened my eyes to just new ways of thinking overall, when you're trying
Mhm.
to get through challenges in life.
Okay, so now you jumped right into how autonomy helped you put your
Mhm.
dream in order, but I'm always interested into and what spurred you to look at autonomy or lean you toward that direction.
Oh yeah. My journey with Richard Grove and autonomy started way back with the Peace Revolution podcast. I
Mhm.
was listening to that early on. I think I started listening in 2010. I heard about Richard Grove from Jan Irvin's podcast at the time, Gnostic Media. I think I had maybe Gino Denning was on Jan Irvin's podcast, and then that started to kind of roll into Peace Revolution. And so early on, I was being exposed to the ideas of the trivium, and it helped me at the time because I was in college to do better, teach myself things, and just get through college because they weren't teaching me anything about how to learn. They were just telling me what to learn. So I followed Richard for a long time there, and then I kind of fell off. And then around COVID, I started hearing about Grand Theft World. I got back, and when COVID hit, I was like, wait a second, this sort of stuff was being talked about a decade ago on Peace Revolution. So
Mhm.
I found autonomy through the Grand Theft World podcast, and really wanted to get into it at that time. And that was like 2021, 2020, probably 2021, early 2021. Had a couple of blueprint calls with autonomy graduates, and at the time, just felt like I couldn't justify it financially for myself, and then still really wanted to do it, and finally got into a space where I could pull the trigger and take the course. And I don't regret it one bit. Wish I had taken it earlier, just to, get into that community. Being part of the mastermind has been great as well. Does that
Okay.
answer your question, Ed?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's a little gives us a little bit more insight.
sure.
Uh, so you then in the first question, you kind of mentioned that autonomy helped you work some things out,
hmm
straighten some things out as far as I think you said meeting some of your challenges with the attitude of gratitude. We'll
hmm
talk about that for a little bit.
Well, it's, coming at it with a mindset of, I got this. Like, even if you maybe don't have it, but just
Mhm.
trusting yourself. That's what I've learned with autonomy. I think that's something it helped me get through. Because, getting frustrated, then that leads to aggression or anger. That's something that I've struggled with a little bit in the past, and then just giving up. But I think with autonomy, I've been able to kind of find that aggression or that frustration early on in my own mind and then addressing it and being like, okay, let's step back here. Let's think about what is the next step and not looking at this big old stressful picture, but like, what can I control right now? What can I do to help move me along the next step that I need to overcome this challenge?
Oh, yeah. Now, let me ask you something. Let me go back because this is always interesting to me and my journey. So, you said that when you were in college, you weren't being taught how to learn and you were just being told what to do and, things like that.
hmm
So I imagine that that didn't just start happening in college. You know,
hmm
I imagine you had that experience in high school as well.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
when you were in the high school and then moving into college, uh, well, how would you classify, how would you describe your attitude towards challenges at that time?
in school, I was an okay student. I didn't really have to, I guess I wasn't that challenged in high school. Like, I could just go to class, pay attention, and get good enough grades, and I didn't really have to put forth the effort. Where I ran into the challenges academically was in college, where it's like, ooh, I got to put in more effort to do all this stuff they want me to do. And it was a science degree, and so I had, plans to do other things with that degree. And so, it was challenging, in that respect. But in school, my parents, we grew up pretty poor. And my parents, my mom didn't graduate high school. She went back to college and got her GED, later on when I was in high school.
Mhm.
And my stepdad, he graduated high school but didn't really go to college or anything. And so they they instilled in me this idea that I had to succeed at school and that was the only way to do it. And so, like, in school, I just kind of like do what they tell me to do, jump through the hoops. And then, but it wasn't really that challenging until I got into college and finding Peace Revolution and the Trivium and like kind of
Mhm.
figuring out how do I learn by grammar, logic, rhetoric. And I think that really pushed me along to be better at jumping through those hoops, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. That makes me,
hmm
it takes me to the thought where when I went to high school and when entered college, the classes that I wanted to study, I was totally unprepared for. And, uh, and I didn't have the guidance that I needed to help me navigate through that time. And so my experience in college was not what it could have been. It was what it is what it is. It was what it was. But let me ask you something. So now, so you're at this point where you were COVID came, you got down with the Grand Theft world, and you were introduced to autonomy, but you didn't join yet. then you finally decided to take the step and join autonomy. So at this point, why don't you walk us through your autonomy journey?
Yeah. Um, it's been phenomenal. I loved the lectures that Richard had, the live lectures, the Q&A. Um, it was just inspirational from the beginning. You listen to one of those lectures and you feel like, gosh, if I take these tools and I apply them and I really dig down and absorb this material, I can do anything. Like there's nothing that can stop me because you're empowering yourself, and that's what these lectures do. Um, I I'm not really, my goal going into autonomy was to get introduced to the community, to just absorb as much as I could with the bandwidth I had. I've got a pretty hectic job, like corporate career. So the time I dedicate to work is a lot throughout the week, and the time I dedicate to autonomy, I do it as much as I can. And when we got into like the internet marketing and those type of lectures, I kind of fell off, and I'm like, I'm going to do that later, which is a cool thing about autonomy. And that's what I love about it is I can always go back to this whenever I need to learn something new, when I want to create opportunities in my life that I don't have right now. I can go back and I can dive into that community and access those resources. So I think the biggest thing for me with autonomy is it's just opened my eyes to like all the possibilities that are out there. And I'm not rushed into it. I don't feel
Yeah.
pressure in a course. It's like Richard's not cracking a whip saying, "Hey, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this."
Mhm.
It's like take what you can and roll with it. I love it.
I like what you said there, man, because my experience has been nothing but good things as well. And what I heard you say, and what I think is good for whomever is listening, is that the inspiration that you need to get over the top, man, that's so valuable. And if you go around thinking that you can do things by yourself for so long and that your wheels have been spinning, I'm gonna tell you, man, you need some inspiration, some different types of ways of thinking, so you can realize like there is different alternatives. So that's I appreciate that you shared that with us,
Yeah.
and I mean people who's listening can get that benefit. So
Ed, can I jump in and just share one other thing?
yeah,
I think my favorite part of autonomy has been the mastermind group, and I think that's been the most beneficial. And you're in that group, and Brandon Johnson, who was interviewed on the Quest, is in that group, and James
hmm
Gordner.
yes,
Um,
absolutely,
I think for me it's early because you guys are like East Coast, so I think I'm 2 hours behind you. So I'm up
yeah,
at 5:45 every Saturday morning,
yeah.
except the occasional missed one. But talking with this group, and it has helped me tremendously. And I can have a rough week, and I get on with Saturday morning with these guys, and we have a session, and it sets the tone for my weekend, and it helps to recharge. So thank you, Ed, for being part of
Mhm.
that group. It's made a big difference.
Hey, it's reciprocal, my guy. Don't It's reciprocal because I look forward to that, and throughout the week, I'm envisioning you guys having success and the things that you do throughout. We share. So a mastermind. I mean, like that's another thing that people probably underestimate the power of a mastermind. I mean,
Mhm.
you can be. You're a smart guy. You know, I mean, I think I got some stuff under my belt, but we put our heads together. It's there's no telling what could happen. So
Yeah, it's
I
powerful.
mean, it's just wide open, and from meeting, I say like I was saying earlier, the consistency is going to turn something's going to have to come from that action that's being repeated, and these things are being shared. And when it does, I'm going to be there. So trust and believe. So now listen, there's another part of autonomy that I don't know if the marketing program is really putting it out there. I think it's just like a hidden benefit of the course of the community. And when I got turned on to it, I was like, damn, well, how come I didn't know about this before? And where I was like, why this is I had to switch my whole paradigm about how to approach people and how to share ideas with them. And then by and by, I understand that this course in autonomy was called problem solving for ethic or problem solving and in sales with an ethical foundation. And that whole approach, it gave me a 180-degree spin because I was always hesitant to approach people and tell them about what I do. But after that, I was like, I'm looking for people. You know what I mean? I'm hungry and I don't see anybody who can't be approached now. So
Mhm.
have you experienced that sales training that's offered in the program in the university?
I did watch a couple of replays of the first part of those lectures there with Phoenix, right? Is that the one you're talking
Yes,
about?
that's
Yeah,
exactly
the
right.
the sales
Mhm.
training. Yeah, I work in sales. I've been working in medical device sales for about 6 years. I'm not the guy with the quota on my back, but I'm part of a team where we all participate in that selling. And especially with medical devices, um, I've always had a view of selling as nothing bad, which I think a lot of people go into that. I wonder if they go in there and they start to learn like, oh, I can sell ethically. I've never really had that perception of sales because I've been in it and I know I don't push something on a physician. I don't push my product on them if they're not comfortable using it because that could affect the patient. It's patient safety.
Mhm.
So for me, like ethical sales has always had a different meaning because I can see the outcome of a bad patient outcome if you try to give something or try to push something onto a physician that they're not properly trained on or they're not comfortable using. It can affect somebody's life in a very, negative way. So when
Yeah.
I listened to those lectures, I was like, yes, this is great. I'm glad that people are getting exposed to how selling should be done and it should be done ethically. And
I
all you're
agree.
doing is solving a problem. And you know, listening, I didn't listen to the full course, but I did listen to the first couple of lectures that Phoenix was giving, and I had my eyes open to more explicit type selling. Like you're asking questions to figure out what problems they have and then seeing if you have the solutions to those problems. It breaks it down so simply. And then being having just knowing that that's your talk track, that's how you're going to approach something. You're not trying to push something onto somebody that they don't want or they don't need, and be okay with them saying no if that's really works best for them. I mean, yeah, it's a great course to really learn sales if you're interested in that.
Yeah, I agree. So my thoughts were I listened to the first couple of lectures to get the idea, like
Hmm.
I wanted to get the gist. After that, it's just basically practice,
Hmm.
being comfortable in the situation. So, and you said something that's interesting because if you make sales in the medical industry that, like you said, directly affects health, it's
Hmm.
so you sell something and then right on the other side is the result. So there's ethics embedded in your sales, category. And what I'm thinking is that the people listening who may be interested in sales in general or who have a product that maybe that doesn't have such a, right on the other side is the results that are dire or anything like that. But
Hmm.
the things that resonated with you that are in the course, could you talk a little bit about that for people who may just be new to sales? What stuck to you from those couple of lectures that you listened to?
Yeah, I think it all comes down to listening more than you're talking, because that's the bad perception of a salesperson is they're just going to talk and they're going to be pushy and they're going to just, not be genuinely interested in, the person that they're interacting with. And I think if there's anything you could take away from that, it's to be when you ask a question, make sure it's genuine because people know. Like we can tell somebody's just talking to us just because they want something.
Well,
Um,
you know my daughter? Oh, because my daughter does that to me all the time.
is she
And
is she
when
giving you some non-ethical selling
she's
there,
trying,
Ed?
she tries, but I've been through the course already. So
You're immune to it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel
Uh,
better.
but yeah, so I think it is. It's just asking those questions and trying to figure out what pain points a person might have, and then if you have a solution to offer, you offer it, and they might ask more questions about it, and just being able to speak to that. Or if I really liked what Phoenix said in his role working in the job he does. He told his employers before he got hired. He's like, if I can't help your client and I know somebody else that can, I'm gonna probably turn them away or I'm gonna send them somewhere else. And I thought like, and they still hired the guy. So that says a lot about his employers too. And
Mhm.
and I feel supported like that in my with my own employer as well, which is the reason I'm still working with them for 8 years, that I've
Yeah.
been with them. So yeah, I think it's just being genuine in who you are because this is I think we're all selling to each other every day. We just don't know it. It hasn't been made explicit. We're all interacting with each other. And I think to do it without aggression and violence and to be just peaceful about it, the world would be a better place if we all had that, you know, in mind
Yeah.
and all had those abilities, which I think it also comes down to being able to sell and knowing like tactics of selling gives you that into individuals or intellectual self-defense as well that Richard talks about a lot.
Yeah. That's thank you. Because again, that leads. So how has what you learned through those couple of lectures and what resonated with you, has that added to your relationships with or your communications with the people you sell to, the doctors, in any way?
Yeah, I would say it has. I tend to definitely talk less and listen more whenever I'm interacting with a physician, especially if it's a complaint about one of my products. I really want to get to the bottom of that. I want to make sure that they're confident and comfortable using my product again, because there's a person's life on the other end of that I have to be aware of. And then recently, as you know, I recently got promoted into a managerial role.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And again, sometimes I'm having to go to stressed out clinicals who are working very hard, and I have to ask them to do a little bit more. That's selling right there. And you really have to be empathetic to their needs and what their concerns are. And so it's all about asking questions and listening and figuring out problems to solutions.
Yeah, that's what's up. I imagine those doctors probably appreciate you even that much more
Yeah.
because you know, what I mean, if you just sit there and listen, they're going to tell you everything you need to know. So I imagine your that course and that listening skills and all of that is all around a good thing. So let me see here. Let's move right along so we can get to the point where people might have questions for you. So
Yeah.
next question is why don't you describe the autonomy community for those who are thinking about coming in and maybe on the fence one way or the other? Why don't you give a description of how you see it, how you experience it?
They are highly intelligent. I've don't think I've met anybody in this group that just hasn't blown me away with their ability to speak to whatever they're interested in and be fully knowledgeable about it. They are accepting and open of ideas, and I feel very easygoing, able to speak my mind to whatever it might be to people in the community. And I haven't been in on a ton of the Q&As. And I've mainly interacted within my mastermind group and with some of the interviews exercises early on in the course, interviewed a few other people, but it's been just I I guess the word would be enlightening and also uplifting to just talk to people and know that like there's other people who share similar ideas with me out there. I may not interact with them every day, but I know there's a community, and I think that to me just describes the community. It's just everybody from every walk of life that you can think of. It's there, but we're all just kind of learning together. It's a cool thing.
You got that right.
Hmm.
Before I joined this community, I was like the title of that movie, Waiting to Exhale. Like I was going around tight, like, man, yeah, I mean, I need a tribe, I need something. I need some people I need to talk to. And then I came across the autonomies. Let me ask you something. What was your first experience within the autonomy community?
It would be, I think the first like welcoming uh
Like any like
lecture. Oh,
so let me say my first when I got into the community, I don't know. I was in a question and answer, or maybe one of those integration interviews, and Wesley Penner. I met him. He said, "Hey, how you doing? What's going on? What you need?" And I said, "I need a website." And I was just telling him. And next thing I know, he's like, "Send me the copy. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get this set up." And that was the first day. I had to say, "Whoa, hold up, man! I wasn't ready for this. Pump the brakes a little bit."
right.
And then lo and behold, God bless his soul, he just hit me up the other day, just checking in on me. Just I said, good check, Wesley. That's a good check. Because I've
Hmm.
been running around with my head down, this, that, and the other. But the community, like you say, it is what it is. And I just wanted to share that as my first
Yeah.
experience. And then I don't know, maybe you might have something. Like, I
I
don't know.
mean,
I don't know if it's cool as me because like Wesley is that dude, but I don't know.
I mean, so like you came into autonomy with like some projects in mind and some maybe solutions or problems that you had that you needed solutions for. I really didn't come into autonomy with that. Like I'm not trying to start a website. I'm not trying to do a podcast. I'm just wanting to learn more and maybe see where it goes. I would say my experience that relates to what you had is in our mastermind group where for the interview I was prepping for, I presented to
Oh
all of
yeah.
you my 30, 60, 90-day plan and got some feedback from you guys. And I think that helped really polish it up and put it over the edge. And I'd say that's probably one of the biggest benefits that autonomy's been for me. I know it's kind of like it's kind of funny to me to think like I use this to get deeper into a corporate job. A lot of people are trying to escape, but I really love what I do. And that's
Yeah.
another cool thing about autonomy is that it's not, you're not being pushed to all do the same thing. Everybody's got their own little track and things that they want to do in life and their comfort level with how they want to do it. And I mean, I don't feel judged by anybody when I say, "Hey, I work for a big corporate company." It's like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. Let's talk about, how we all got screwed in schooling. So,
Hey, well, I think when I met you and you told me about how you enjoy your job, you feel satisfied there, and you get to move up, and you talk to people in your job that respect you, and
mhm.
things like that. Who would that's what ideally it should be. And if
Mhm.
you are in that position and you can even amplify your position through autonomy, and that's win, 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 and maybe
Yeah.
another win on the backside of that. So that's great. Um, and like we talked about them a little bit earlier. Why don't you speak to us, to people, about what it's like working with Richard Grove, the creator of this community?
So with Richard, I felt like because I'd benefited so much from the peace revolution and tragedy and hope, community in the past, I put a lot of that to work in my own life, and I felt like it catapulted me to some success. So I felt like I owed Richard, honestly,
Mm.
to take this course, right? And to dive deeper. No, it's been great working with Richard. Being able to listen to him on the Grand Theft World every week, like that's my jam. I love that. I drive a lot and I'm playing that the whole time. Like that's my drive listen for the week. And then all the offerings that are he's still getting put out. Like just when you think he's kind of like done enough, he does more, and the whole autonomy community joins in that. So it's cool to watch this grow and just to keep learning and growing with everybody in that community. And I like how creative Richard is when on the Q&As, people would have questions or comments or
Mhm.
problems or ideas, and he's very creative in how he helps people solve their problems. And I don't know, does the guy ever have a bad day? That's my question to Richard. I know he's on here because I've never seen him in like a bad mood or anything. But I in that spirit of him being able to think and work through all these problems is inspiring to me. And it helps me to like be, hey, we can do this, just think it through. Don't get frustrated.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I got to add on the fortitude that to follow through with his inspiration to bring this community to where it is now is
Yeah.
amazing. And you know, in these days and times, this is a monument to free thinking. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
glad to be a part of it, and I'm
Well,
glad.
and then, just going through how he was a whistleblower. I mean, that's always blown my mind. And
Mm,
he persevered through that. And, they shut him out of jobs and he had to find his own way, but he just never gave up. So it's a cool story. And I like that people that join autonomy get to, I've learned more about him joining the course too, than I did just listening to, the Grand Theft World or the Peace
mm.
Revolution podcast that he had.
That's true. So I'm gonna say you said that earlier. I think you said you haven't got a chance to listen in on too many Q&As.
Hmm.
Is that true? But
Yeah.
you have heard enough to like when Richard's on there doing his Q&A, excuse me, on Sundays, and those questions are coming at him, and he's fielding the questions and giving back, answers that make sense each time. I'm like, that's on par with like a one of those top level comedians or somebody who's just feeling the answers and then
Yeah.
spitballing stuff and giving you back what you need. And I
Yeah.
appreciated that from the start. And that's a skill that I'm trying to build. So thank you, Richard. Appreciate it. Hey, Dave, let me ask you something as we wrap this up. Um, what are you looking forward to for this season in autonomy? Do you have any plans? Are you looking forward to anything, any goals, deadlines, or anything that you have in mind for this season?
Yeah, I want to dig more into the planning for success mastermind that JT's been putting on, and get better organized.
Yeah.
There's so much coming at me now, both personally and professionally, that's my goal with this, is to really get better at being organized and planning and executing. So, yeah.
Well, good luck with that. I'm gonna tell you what. Uh, I when I was involved in this community and I'd listen to people talk, and before I knew them, I'd be like, man, these people is like celebrities, man. Look at this stuff that they're doing. They is doing so much awesome stuff. And then I don't know, I think people started saying that to me. And I was like, for real? I am? And I was like, well, and so then I come to realize like we're all basically stars. We all have things about us that need to be brought out that want people, people all deep down, whether you know it or not, everybody desires to express themselves in a certain way.
Hmm.
And autonomy gives that freedom. And first you have to understand that it's possible, and then you got to understand that there's different avenues to do it. And then in autonomy, you get to actually practice what you're doing. It's not like you got to go out and just give it to the world. And you know how the world is. It will cut
Yeah.
you up, chew you up, spit you out, and then leave you for dead. But we don't have that here. So I'm thankful. I'm thankful for that.
Every
So
day. Yeah.
let me
Grateful.
so okay, Dave. Now that's the end of it. That's the last question for the quest. Do you have anything else that you want to share for the people who might be listening? Again, maybe on the fence about joining or whatnot.
My advice is to just do it. You won't regret it. I haven't regretted a minute of it. It's been an excellent experience, and it's going to continue to be excellent moving forward because it's the course is always there, the content's always there, the community is there, and you're going to get out what you put in. And I feel like I didn't put in a whole lot, and I got out a ton. So just if you put in more, you're probably going to get out a lot more. And I like what you said, Ed, about autonomy helping us to figure out that we're all like very, very special in this world and we can all do great things. And you've
Absolutely.
been told your whole life that you can't do great things, that you have to serve whatever master or, do whatever the system or the school system or even your employer tells you. You don't have to do that. Like you can do other things. And I think autonomy really helps bring that out.
That's that's a wise words, Dave. Thank you. Appreciate that. So true. At this point, listen, thank you, Dave. Appreciate you. Very insightful feedback, and I knew it was going to be like that. I'm gonna open the floor for any guests, anybody who's in the chat room who might have a question or comment, something they want to add into. So I think I got Aaron on the screen. He's going to open up, unmute you. So just come on in.
Speak up. Don't be shy.
Yeah, it's only Dave.
Well, Ed, I mean, until somebody speaks up, I want to say this interview has been great. Like you're really good at interviewing. I haven't interviewed you or been interviewed by you. So you asked
Hey,
some challenging questions. It really made me think, and I loved it, man. Thank you so much.
no problem, man. Thank you. Thank you. It's uh, it's reciprocal. Like I said, it's a cybernetic loop we're setting up here. So it takes two. Takes two to make a thing go right. And I got my style from Aaron, who interviewed me when I did the autonomy quest. So there you go. What goes around
Nice.
comes around.
Nice.
Well, Dave, we had a very interesting conversation where you interviewed me and vice versa. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm I'm wondering if you have any thoughts about ontology, because I'd like to open your conversation here to a wider view of what you think about ontology is one thing, the things that exist, uh, your mind, and you're talking about the trivium. And when we talked about the trivium as a way to organize your memory.
Hmm.
And you're saying that you really well, certainly that's a clue to how to organize your memory. Of course, the idea of epistemology and the four causes that I was talking to you about, the end, the means, the method, and the result, is actually a more precise way of organizing
Hmm.
your memory. And then there's cosmology. And that's when we take everything into consideration. It's really on a spiritual level. And I'm just kind of wondering, how do you see the civilization? Do you see need for change? Is there any changes you have in mind? What's your view about individuality, about conscience?
Man, Barry, that's deep. Uh, I think there's a lot that needs to change, and it needs to come from the individual. The individual in your own mind, that's where the change needs to take place before it goes into your either your family and then your community and then to a wider whole, into the cosmos, the cosmology itself. So, I don't know if that answers your question, but I think it starts with the individual and how you think. And I did start to listen to one of your lectures on the platform. And honestly, I wasn't able to get through it because it seems like there's so much there where it's like the time that I was able to kind of give to it at one point. I was like, wait, I can't be driving when I listen to this. I need to be sitting down and really focusing on it. And then, never took the time to do that. But I do agree with you that there are ways to better organize our minds that we haven't been told. And I think you've really struck a chord with your work on kind of finding that and bringing that information to light. So I'm excited to see your stuff progress. That's going to be cool.
I'll be starting another course on 16th of September.
Okay.
You're welcome to join. Yeah.
I'll keep an eye out for the link.
Good.
Dave,
Yeah.
what's your wife think about autonomy, you in autonomy?
So we started watching the lectures together at first, and she really liked those lectures. Like we were sit there, that was our Friday night thing for a while. Until we started to get into the more like the technical type lectures, like the internet marketing and
Hmm.
the email stuff. That's kind of where we both were like, okay, cool. Like we're not into that yet. And but she's liked it. I'm trying to get her to jump into it too. I don't think she's quite there yet. But I think she's liked the change in me and how it's helped, me grow as a person too. And I think it's helped our relationship. But we'd have to ask her to really
Yeah,
get
true that.
get the take on that.
True that. True indeed. But that's
Yeah.
good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. Yeah. She's been very supportive. My crazy ideas.
Hey, Dave,
Yes.
I got a question for you. So, like you, I had been following Grove since early on, and you mentioned Jan and Gnostic Media, and it just brought back memories of like
Hmm.
hearing Richard tell his whistleblowing story and his thoughts on 9/11. And my question to you is, um, seeing how a lot of those folks that he started off with, like Jan, don't seem to have been able to keep going. Um, what do you think contributed to sort of his journey from those early days into building autonomy?
I think having curiosity, an open mind, and then just resiliency to just keep moving forward and to keep learning new things and finding new information. And then the way Richard is able to um, present that information to people in the way he speaks and the way he creates content, it's unique. And I don't know, you see like Jan Irvin. I'm not trashing the guy at all, but I've heard he can be a little hard to to deal with at times, and I just never seen Richard be that way to anybody in any of his interviews or in any of his interactions that I've seen him take part in.
And do you think that some of those skills are, what is brought into making autonomy special? His ability to communicate, that persistence, and
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Richard is aligned with the things he says he actually does, which is, I mean, in today's world that can be a little uh not the norm. People talk a lot, but they don't follow through. So having that integrity, I like setting that, being excellent to each other, and those commitments that you enter into going into autonomy. That he makes it explicit, and so it's at the forefront of your mind. Like, wait a second, I agreed to do something here, so I'm going to follow through and I'm going to do it. And he sets that precedent, and I think, leads by example in that way.
Mhm. Mhm. Thank you.
Hmm. Love the awkward silence.
Well, if nobody else has one, I've got another one.
All right, Barry.
All right, you've got, I guess, a background in some biology and medical science and that. What is your thinking in terms of the human body in relationship to sound and light vibrational healing?
So the specific field I work in is cardiac electrophysiology. And so what I've learned from working in that for the last 8 years is the body is just one big electromagnet, basically. And so electricity and electromagnetism is just a form of vibration in the universe. And so I'm sure if the technology weren't being like buried and hidden, we'd be able to have healing modalities that are better than what we have now. But in a sense, that doesn't make a lot of money for people, you know, to keep people sick and then give them the products to fix the sickness. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, that's the world we live in. And what kind of energies are you talking about? Like, are these like the magnets you can put on a joint and they feel a little better with like an electromagnet, or are these like the vibrational bowls where you sit there and they do the sound therapy? What were you referring to exactly?
Well, specifically sound and light vibration.
Mm.
Every object in reality has a natural frequency, and that frequency can get out of tune, either too sharp or too flat. And if there's sympathetic resonance of a common instrument that is tuned to any particular vibrational frequency, it can either interfere positively or negatively. It can attenuate or it can accentuate a vibration. And
Mhm.
so those would be the terms of establishing that change.
Well, I'd be definitely interested to learn more about that. I haven't really looked into that a whole lot. But it makes sense, right? We're all just energy in the universe, right?
Well, you see the universe behind me,
Hmm.
and those rings, the seven rings above and the seven below, those are harmonic octaves, and they accomplish all of the categories of knowledge and all of the material elements of the universe. So it's all there, and it is categorically organized numerically and logically. So yeah, we can tap into that. In fact, the last 3 nights now, I've been waking at 4 o'clock in the morning with explicit directions as to how that all fits and works together. I wish it would stop and come up in the morning, in the daytime, instead of at 4 in the morning. But anyway, that's what I get.
That's funny.
That's the magic hour, Barry. You better take it when
Yeah.
you can get it. Yeah.
It all goes up and it all comes down. It goes up and it comes down. That's a vibration.
Yeah.
Hey,
And
is
then,
it working? Can you hear
oh,
me?
yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead,
Oh,
Leah.
good. My mic hasn't been working.
Oh,
I successfully was troubleshooting my mic.
nice.
Yeah, so for me, I was wondering, with all of the different kinds of courses that everybody's doing, like what kind of engagement have you had? Have you had a chance to go into any of those courses? I mean, they run, round the clock all with, people like Barry and Ed and everybody creating things, um, you know, and they're all recorded as
Hmm.
well. So
Hmm.
you could go back to them. And again, like I think with Barry, like you'll be able to see the progression of his work throughout time in the library, which will be pretty
Hmm.
amazing. But for me, it's one of my favorite things is when people do these things. So have you had a lot of experience or chances to join those?
I haven't joined like a lot of the live courses, but I do catch the replays. I'm a bit of a dabbler when it comes to this. I'm kind of just like, this is my first season in autonomy, so I'm kind of checking out different things. I really haven't stuck with and done a deep dive into like Barry's work or any of the other courses yet. So I'm still kind of figuring out my big areas of interests. I guess you could say I'm a bit of a hobbyist here at Autonomy. I'm kind of like dabbling around and just listening to things here and there, without being like too consistent on anything. So yeah, but it's all been very interesting, and it's just been like this smorgasbord you can kind of sample off of. I haven't been disappointed by any of the content that I've listened to. And I really did like that recent mastermind with Renee Devereaux and the, transforming yourself. I thought that was very insightful. I enjoyed listening and going through that. I wasn't at any of the live ones, but I did enjoy the replays quite a bit.
Scarcity to Transformation wasn't that good.
It was great. It
Wow.
was
It was so
fantastic.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
I want to say something because that you said that you're a hobbyist and you're in autonomy, finding your way just like you're strolling through a campus. That's what it seems like to me. You
Mhm.
already got so some people join autonomy and they find themselves in a situation where they explore this, explore that, realize that there's something different. And then there's some people who get in who say, listen, I'm on a mission. I have some things I really want to get done. And there's there's place for both people in autonomy. And
Yeah.
they can all get their stuff done. You can get focused and get to where you want to be, and you can enjoy your time as at your will. So that's a great thing about this community.
Well said. I agree. Yeah, it just never ceases to disappoint. And like I've said multiple times, like I can always go back and learn more. I can always go back and do deep dives on whatever I'm interested in. And like I said, right now I'm focusing a lot of time into my professional life, and getting into autonomy, like the planning for success, is definitely interesting me because it's, again, something I need to get better on, in my own life. So having that resource and knowing that this is there and it's going to be high quality no matter what you do, peace of mind. It's great. It's like just got a ton of friends that I can always fall back on, and it's there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good to know. Perhaps someone has some more questions for a good friend Dave. Um,
I've got another one for you, Dave.
Sure.
Um, as you kind of mentioned earlier, you are kind of a little atypical for some of the folks in autonomy in that you are, happy with your corporate pursuits and you've actually used autonomy to level up in that. What within the autonomy curriculum has helped you the most? And then would you recommend autonomy to other peers within your corporate life?
Yeah, there's been a couple of coworkers I've mentioned it to, and of course it's in the corporate world. You're kind of like I'm careful about who I share a lot of these crazy ideas with, because then they can be like, "Oh, Dave, he's just one of those conspiracy theorists, whatever." But but people I feel comfortable interacting with in that way, I have shared, like, especially younger people on my team that I know would benefit from, like, knowing about John Taylor Gatto and the Ultimate History Lesson. Like, you need to listen to this. This will expand your mind, tremendously. And yeah, I have kind of brought up this course. I did my prior manager. I actually was trying to get her to sponsor me within the corporation to pay for the course. But then I was like, I don't want them looking into this. And then, like, because you got to be careful on the corporate level, right? Like, you don't want to get labeled something. And no, I know that's not the case with the course, right? But it could be taken that way. But I think just being atypical in this, it just speaks to how it's for everybody. Like everybody can benefit from it. And, and again, people in the course might say something that you may not agree with, but that's okay. Like we can agree to disagree on things. Nobody has to get into an argument. That it doesn't have to be fighting, and it's not my team versus your team type mentality, which is cool about people that join the course.
Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, that brings up a thought as far as you're amongst a community here of conspiracy theorists, so you can feel free to exercise that aspect of your thought. What do you think about the current day political, economic environment that we live in?
I think it's engineered destruction. It's when COVID happened, that was the first thought that crossed my mind. I was like, they're just trying to bring it all down for something else. I think we're in a climate of trying to really get us into that technocracy and that technocratic type of control. And they're doing it by the problem reaction solution, Hegelian dialectic. And that's how I see the world. Oddly enough, I'm not afraid. I'm not thinking I've got to, prep myself into oblivion and shut my door to the world. I'm optimistic that, even if things go really bad, that we're gaining skills through autonomy to be able to build our own communities, help each other out, not live in that scarcity mindset, and just know that we have the abilities to get through whatever hardships might come about from these people that are trying to do away with the current system, which we just build our own. I like that idea. And those ideas are given or not given, but they're really talked about in autonomy in a different way. It's not just you got to be afraid and only think and do for yourself. You can grow and learn and help others and be useful to each other in a situation where we're not dependent on the government to kind of bail us out of anything. I think we've learned you can't be dependent on that. I mean, the floods, is it South Carolina, North Carolina, those floods, and like nobody showing up to help you out at all. You just got to realize you got to be there for yourself and in your community.
Well, to take that a little bit further, then, as far as we're told about a deep state, we're told about two-tier justice, we're told about a media which is completely co-opted. So all these things are pretty well organized against humanity. What do you think in terms of organization for humanity? Is there any is there any
I think you're cutting out there a little bit with me, Barry. I don't know if
avenues of how the
sorry, Barry. I didn't pick up
Yeah.
anything of what you said.
Okay, I'm talking about looking at the organization of the bad actors compared to the organization of good actors. What do you see in terms of that happening? That there would be more of an organized, common structure for people to get on the good side of things.
I think we need that because you're absolutely right. Like the bad actors are more organized, and I think Mark Passio talks about that in his What on Earth is Happening podcast, where the universe does reward your feelings, your thoughts, and your actions all lining up. And if that's that could be for the bad or it could be for the good. And I think trying to get people to realize and organize for the good Why is that so difficult? I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. Is it possible? I think it definitely is. And I think there's a lot of, thinking and work that can go into that. Um, I think a top-down structure is definitely never the way to go, and that's the structure that they're trying to have right now. It needs to be, individuals freely interacting with each other without coercion or aggression. Eh, That I think that's the base of where that should come from, and everybody aligning for the good in that way, coming from a non-violent, non-control over others type of perspective.
Well, that actually brings into the idea of the community being the center of organization as opposed to a nation state.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it needs to be the community, because even a community is just a group of individuals, and that's the single part that really where it all derives from. And so every individual is important in that situation.
What do you think about autonomy being a likely source of beginning that community to organize other communities?
I would definitely support that statement. I think it is a community that is unique, and it values every individual, and everybody that's there, that's learning, that's growing together. They all benefit from it, as a collective, even though it's a bunch of individuals working together. Yeah, I could buy into that.
And we've seen a lot of very talented, intelligent, productive individuals doing great things, but they're doing them in an isolated way that they have a local group, but it doesn't extend across the board, across the whole world as a organized platform that everybody's contribution adds to the whole. We don't
Mhm.
have that, do we?
No. And it's great. Like, I've gotten to interact with somebody from Australia in one of my interviews. One of the guys in my mastermind, I think he's Australian, but he lives in Denmark. So it's like I've been able to be exposed to people from all over the world. And I love to travel. Like, I'll go anywhere and meet people, but it's cool to be able to do it from, my office on a Saturday morning. Hey, what's going on in Denmark?
Yeah.
And just and get that sense of other places in the world, and what's going on elsewhere, from on the ground perspective, not from a corporate controlled propaganda machine, as the
Autonomy,
news.
autonomy definitely makes the world a lot smaller. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, like our
Yeah.
mastermind people, like I get used to hearing different accents now, so that's kind of cool. Hey, listen, we're running a little bit. We're on time, but let me ask you, the audience, if there's any questions for Richard while he's here. If anybody has any questions about Richard about joining autonomy, before we wrap this up for the evening, jump in and ask your question now while we got him on the line.
Hey, I got one. Sorry, excuse me, I'm a little under the weather today. Ironically, I've been feeling fine until I went to the doctor on Wednesday, and now I feel under the weather. So
Go
how's that for
Take
you?
figure.
that off.
But
That's
I did just join. I mean, I'm not on the Circle app yet, so I haven't been able to see the replays, but on the autonomy site, where's a good place to start? I mean, I did have the one call with Olivia. I'll have to have another one, and to actually get on the Circle app and get into this. When I was talking to Charles a while ago, I joined this year because of the incentive, but I was actually planning on doing it in probably a year or two. Also in the corporate world. I used to love it, not as much now. I'm closer to retirement, so maybe I don't care as much about what I say and
Mhm.
things like that, or what they think of me. In fact, I already had one little conversation with HR a couple of years ago on a LinkedIn post where I actually called someone from the Gates Foundation an idiot for what she posted. It was one of those, math is not really math. It's racist and stuff like that. It's like, come on, you're teaching your kids this. You're a fool. So
I love it.
I quickly got suspended. Somebody, in another conversation I had, somebody posted the CEO of my company. So I had a little talk with HR. I stand by it. You want to fire me? Fire me.
Yeah.
That's,
Absolutely.
I guess the good thing about being close to the end. I mean, I'll never retire, but I do want to get out of the corporate world probably a year or two at the most.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I would say to start with is just go with the lectures. Like just follow the program at first, right? Like just start with that lecture one, do the Q&As and see where that takes you. I mean, that's what I did. I kind of like knew there was all this stuff out there and you can really kind of just almost get yourself dizzy trying to absorb all this information. But I think as you start to go through the initial lectures and the Q&A, you start to get an idea of where you want to focus your attention a little bit more.
Yeah, I I appreciate that. I don't really, I don't want to say know where I'm going because otherwise I wouldn't be still looking at other things. But I've always, like historically throughout my life, I've always wanted to be somebody that could be like independent, like not necessarily rich, but independently off on my own where I didn't need a corporate life, but I didn't really want to be famous. I don't want to like put myself out there. I just want to like be that quiet guy that's got more money than he thinks
Mhm.
and just be
Yeah.
able to live the life I want, but still be an influence on others like near me. Like I don't know if I
Mhm.
want to broadcast to thousands or millions, although it wouldn't hurt me to do that. I'm not afraid of it. It's just not what I was always geared to do. I always wanted to be that quiet millionaire. If you want to put a label on it.
Just
Nice.
have enough money to mind your business
Yep.
and live your life. I could dig that.
That I don't have to do what other people say I should have to do.
Right.
Can I make a suggestion to you, Philip? And that is the most, probably the most important secondary thing to listening to Richard's lectures is every day almost you should have some interview with somebody new so you get to know the community. And those interviews are very enlightening and rewarding. So do as many interviews as is comfortable, but that is possible because that's where you really get to know this community and get ideas as to where you should go next. So try that out.
Yeah, thanks for that. Listen, my initial goal was to actually do this in a couple of years when I think I had more time because I'm pretty hectically busy in the corporate world, but I signed up for it, so I'm going to take it this year, not in
Good.
2 years. If I have to take it again in 2 years
Yeah.
to
Tell
actually,
them, Rich.
I'll do that.
Once you learn how to do it when you're busy, that's like the major skill because now you can integrate information and you can learn things and overcome obstacles along the way. And I think the advice that you got from your fellow students, I mean, they might be graduates, but they're just students who just went earlier than you, right? Was very salient. And Barry's point about doing the interviews and getting connected, that's where you're going to find the most value. So, getting connected to Circle is not a struggle. Once you do it, it's connected. You're already on Zoom. Yay, freedom. And if you're in Kajabi and you can get the replays, then you're winning. And do it as you have time. As you heard, David didn't make every live event and Q&A. Like he gleaned what he needed when he could and just kept going. And that's the important part is continuing on your learning journey. Pleasure to make your acquaintance, and you're in good hands with Charles.
Well, thank you. Good to be here. Like I said, I've been following, like getting the emails, following some of the content for a while. But I thought, this would be great when I'm out of the corporate world. I can actually dive in. And then I saw the incentive to join now or else. It's like, well, okay, I'll join now.
Well, the cool thing is, as long as you're in corporate world, corporate world runs just as I teach it. Like they're going to need sales and marketing and advertising and all these things. But if you want to be out and not be in corporate world, you kind of need to learn the same basic motions. You don't have to do it as on grand a scale, but you need to know what is your skill, what is your offer, what do you actually take with raw material and produce out of it? How do you let people who need that service or product know about it? And we're not taught that in school. So that coupled with how to learn anything and how to think through things and how to be an active listener with all these other super skills, now you're a force to be reckoned with. And if they're getting rid of people at work at some point, they might want to keep you because you know how to figure out lots of different things, right? So like you'll have more mobility by putting in the investment of learning now. And I'm glad you took us up on that offer and it got you off the procrastination fence because I too, I have like a head cold thing going on, so I relate to you there. But also sometimes, procrastination doesn't always lead to our best creativity. It just gets in our way. So if it's not pushing my creativity, I need to get rid of it with some scheduled meetings and some accountability. But otherwise, I learned to live with such proclivities.
Yeah, every day's a learning game.
And
Sometimes you learn
I
what
can't
to
be,
do.
yeah.
I was gonna say, sometimes you learn what to do, sometimes you learn what not to do, but it's all learning.
Yeah, I couldn't have been that smart yesterday if I learned this much today. It's kind of what I get over the years. Keep
Well,
on
thank you,
learning.
Richard.
Oh, you're very welcome. You're very courageous to ask a question in front of these characters. Ed, you did a great job with that interview. And David, you handled yourself masterfully. No wonder they promoted you. Look at that.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
That's
Richard.
what I said.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mhm.
Does anyone else here have questions, comments, concerns, conundrums?
I got a quick comment. David, to your point about Richard seeming like he never stumbles or is stumped. Richard, could you share your water pump story with us real quick?
Oh yeah, but first I got to speak secret language to Ed. It takes two to make it out of sight was the next part of that line
Thank you.
back
I
about an hour
figured
ago.
somebody was on there with me. Same
I
page.
want to rock right now. Yeah, I can't do that. Water pump story. Well, it was probably about this time last year. Labor Day weekend, we were traveling and I had just taken our family truckster in for service and got it all checked out. And I've got like, I pay for like a warranty. So if something breaks, I can get it fixed. So at a rest stop in Georgia, about 6 o'clock on a Saturday night when everything's closing, water pump went sideways. And then we called AAA and they couldn't help us. And so we called an Uber. They stranded us. We rented a car. We got it to a hotel. I watched some videos on how to change the water pump. My wife went to the store, got the tools, the water pump, and then we changed it in like 110-degree heat with no shade. And we kept on our way instead of being delayed for 4 days. So it's a longer, more painful story, I'm sure. She's laughing.
I think I remember you talking about that on Grand Theft World on one of the podcasts. So yeah, I do remember you telling that story on your podcast.
Usually a water pump is not an easy change. You got to take the alternator or something else off. And I was fortunate enough to get past my doubts about the situation and say, well, let me just look up how, like on that model, how does it work? So I had to get curious. And once I got into curious learning mode, then I started figuring things out. But when I was in woe is me, this is going to disrupt my plans. How dare the universe do this to me, So you got to get past that. You got to get past the people that you asked to help you and pay to help you for the past 35 years. AAA is going to leave you stranded at a place that's closing on a holiday weekend when nothing's open till Tuesday. They're like, we could pick you up at 4 a.m. So I was like, yeah, we'll go to a hotel. I'll park by the dumpster. Like there were, I ran it less than 10 miles, less than 10 minutes. I wasn't going to blow the engine. There was still some coolant in there, but we just stopped at a rest stop. When I came back out, there was liquid under the truck and I was like, oh, somebody else's truck was leaking. And then I smelled a little too much antifreeze. I decided to pop the hood and that's how I discovered it. So, once you get past the self-inflicted victim mentality of it, right? then you can start to see solutions. You have to get curious, you have to be resourceful, you have to be creative. And yeah, it's those unscheduled meetings that, you
Mhm.
know, that test your self courage and make you grow sometimes too, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
I could have made excuses and not tried. That was the whole thing. And it did get dicey because if you drop one of those bolts while you're doing it into the engine, it's not going to be a good rest of your day. So anyway, took like, you know, got to be confident and firm and use the tools properly and use best practices. And it was slippery. I had to put some tape on the tools to get good grip. But, you know, once you get into curiosity mode and you're like, oh, this is interesting. Oh, I haven't had to do this before. It's about, just like David opened up the interview, it's about the attitude with which we meet and greet our problems so we can thoughtfully respond and not react as we've been entrained by our, you know, pretty much our entire lives, encourages not thoughtful reactions. They don't want us thinking in between stimulus response because that challenges authority. So, you know, ask questions and learn how to find your own answers. And I leave victimhood to, you know, I don't know. I choose not to participate in that mentality.
Yeah, it's always great listening to you speak, Richard. It just you put it in such a way that it just clicks. So thank you.
Well, you guys had a great conversation that, you know, inspired me to rise to this occasion, get past my sinusitis or whatever's going on. I rocked it yesterday. I had to do I have previously scheduled engagements that didn't care if I got like some sort of, the weather changed here. It went from like 90 to like 30 the other day. And so whatever, it was cold here and we had a fire going. All right, she says 40 degrees difference is a lot. So anyway, I had to interview a USS Liberty veteran survivor yesterday about USS Liberty. So I know all the questions to ask, but can I stand there and look normal while doing it? Where, you know, so I told him up front, I said, Phil, I'm going to ask a question. You're going to have your answer. I said, if you see me sneezing or coughing or blowing my nose or turning away from the camera to sneeze or whatever, I said, just pay no mind to it. I'm on mute. I'm not going to interrupt it. It won't be in the production. So he laughed. He's like, yeah, no problem. And then, yeah, I think we had a pretty good session, but I was very fatigued afterwards from having to like stand there and be in the lights, bright lights sometimes. I took an Excedrin halfway through it because
Wow.
I would have taken it before, but I didn't know where they were because some stuff's still not put away here in the move. So anyway, yeah, grin and bear it. However, that's my win. You want to hear about a loss? Well, I got caught in a loss the other day. I had an interview scheduled with Christy Lee, and I found myself 40 minutes away when Scott had texted me like they want a sound check. And I was already struggling with the sinuses, and I had this other thing that came up that was like had to be done right then. So I was out of the house. So thankfully, Christy's a friend of his, and they just had a little chat. He was in a bad reception area, so it wasn't too bad. And you know, so as much as I try to be on point and schedule and have reminders, I've also juggled a lot of new obligations in the past 6 months with buying a property and things like this that we did and the renovation. Yeah, so I'm human too, and I'm working on my A game every day and trying to get it to the A+ game that it deserves to be. And as far as good days and bad days, I try not to look at it like that. I have many good moments, and then there's moments where I need to like do some more thinking, more processing. You know, it's always an airplane going from one city to the other is like almost always not perfectly on course. It's always making mini micro adjustments like second to second, just like when you're driving on the road.
Yeah.
So I try to keep my adjustments often and quick and as painless for others as possible.
I like to
And
think
you
back
know,
to
yeah.
Renee Devereaux's course there, talking about like be forgiving with yourself. I always got to tell myself that, like, don't be too hard on yourself. We all make mistakes.
That's right. And the more that you make the mistakes and you can readily learn from it, I made mistakes all day getting stuff, but I still like got an excellent result out of the end.
Yeah.
So it's like where to take your next mistake to head back toward excellence. Same thing as navigating and making those micro adjustments in your course. It's all a course of breakthrough actions, breaking on through.
Yes, yes.
I was refurbishing a folding door earlier today. It had frosted glass and some tacky flowers stenciled on the front or whatever. And I have this new method for cleaning windows because, you know, I'm not a professional window cleaner, but I can become a professional at anything because I have these skills. It's kind of contagious. So anyway, here's my process. You wash the window with like some soap and suds, and then you use a razor blade and you scrape that window. It also takes off all the frosting and decals, whatever. Then you can go over it one more time with like a magic eraser, and then you wet it down and you use a squeegee, and that window will be so clear. I tell Lisa, I'm like, when I clean these sliding doors, I was like, they're so clear you won't even see them there. Please don't walk into them and break your nose. So I was able to do that on these doors, and they went from like to, oh, they look really nice now. And I didn't really know how to do that before I started just like doing stuff. And it's like, well, what is the problem here? There's a lot of embedded stuff over years. Like scrubbing it's not going to get it. You need a razor blade. So I have a 4-inch razor blade on a handle from when I used to have a painting company. And you know, it's like a 30-year-old tool. And you pop a razor blade in there, and it's like painting stuff new. It's so cool. And there's a lot of other like renovation skills like pressure washing, painting, sandblasting. They got this new stuff with the dry ice where you can watch them do the underbody of a classic car. They're painting it new. It looks new, and it's like a $50,000 system. However, you could pay for that in a couple months because you know what people pay for in their classic cars? Anything they want, right? They pay exorbitant rates for achieve effects that really don't add up to the market value. So when you can paint something new that's old, that's a good place to be because they keep making old stuff every day. I do have a buddy who bought like a laser version of it for 20 grand a couple weeks ago, and he's in Michigan, so I'm gonna have to check in with him to see what the progress is. But those are skills that you could book up your entire calendar, and it's not backbreaking work, or you could just sub it out, show someone else how to run your machine, and now go do powder coating because that's something else people pay for to protect their equipment. You know, you could have a whole equipment protection and restoration business just from the past 3 minutes of conversation where I was on a tangent, but hopefully we came back.
That's great. I love it. Have you tried stand-up comedy, Richard? 'Cause I think you should.
All my comedy is sit down. No, I do stand up every Sunday night for 7 hours.
Yeah,
That's
I
my
know.
stand up. That's
I
my
know.
stand up.
That's my
I
road
don't,
jam all week, man. I'm
and
listening
if
to
you
that.
didn't hear the word, I was on stage at the comedy show when Sam Tripoli and Eddie Bravo and Robbie the Fire Bernstein were here, and
Yeah.
they pulled me up on stage with Mark Palmer Steves, and we all sat up there and answered questions from the audience, which was pretty cool for a little bit. And then there was a couple people, they weren't directed at me, but they were a little intense. And I was like, we're just dudes sitting up here. Do we know who these people? Like, there's no metal detector here. Like, you should be more on guard. Like, who you're riling up in the audience here. So anyway, it was a good experience. You know who was there? Brandon was there
Oh,
from
really?
from your
Yeah.
mastermind group.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I
You should
plan next year.
ask him in a few hours when you guys are at the 5 o'clock meeting or whatever.
Yeah. I'll ask him how it
Yeah.
went. Yeah, I plan to come with the Pork Fest next year. That's on the list of things to be able to
Well,
meet everybody in person.
he came to PorkFest this year,
I
and
heard.
dude, he's so cool. He's
Yeah.
super polite and helpful and generous. And I just, I love the in real life events because most people aren't bringing their A game every day. They're not trying to be excellent. They're not trying to add from your day. They're trying to take away from your day. And all the ways that we can add positivity to other people's days, like we're super wealthy in those aspects, and we never go broke. And it's not like, oh, I wish I wouldn't have wasted those kind words on that person this morning. I don't have them over here for this other thing. It's like we could be empowering ourselves every day in so many ways, and instead they want everyone divided and conquered, and negative self-talk inside, permeates outside.
Yeah.
And then people get frustrated and aggressive because you take away these tools of learning and removing problems. So if you block people's goals as a system, you're going to get what we have here, which is a world that's topsy-turvy from the founding fathers and the protection of our rights by government. So there's like how to pay the bills and keep the roof over your head, and there's how to maintain a country that gave us a legacy of freedom if we can become smart enough to maintain it in these modern times. That's why I created the course.
All right. So we're getting on to 8:30 now Eastern time. Does anybody else have any questions for Dave or Richard?
Nope, you guys did a great job.
Look,
Brandon,
we were talking about him too. Good thing we were talking good about him. I didn't see he was in here.
Hey,
I don't
what's
check
up,
the list when I
Brandon?
came in.
I thought I recognized that voice.
yeah. Okay, well, uh, okay, so let me tell you real quick before we leave about the enrollment process if you're on the fence. So this has been our Autonomy Quest, where we share a graduate's experience with the community. And I guess if you're interested, the next step would be to book a blueprint call. And on that blueprint call, you'll go through some questions, and it'll be an ethical problem-solving experience where you decide if this community is right for you. And then you would, if that's being the case, you will receive an offer to join Autonomy. And then after that, accept, join the community, and then do as you will within the community.
The
All
process,
right?
by the way, was designed so you have transparency, informed consent, you have experiential knowledge to know that you can do this. Because if you've been on this call, for instance, you're on a Zoom call, this is how the course is delivered. If you can download the app and click into the replay, now you've got the replays. Once you are confident you can do all the things and you know what's going on, then you talk to a graduate to confirm those suspicions. Hey, I think I could do this. And they're like, well, in your situation, I see how you could do that. You present a realistic plan. They meet you as a real human that we want actually in the human community. So we teach human skills for a human world. We leverage AI to an extent where you're not taking away your capacity to think. You would use it to expedite your ability to produce. Once you know how to ask questions, you can use these things to expedite answers. But the way that they want society to go is to become dependent on the authority of the AI. And that's going to happen very soon because people don't know how to ask questions and find their own answers. So we're trying to keep the human species, It's a big goal set here that we got. We got high expectations for humanity.
That's right. If your goals don't scare you, they're not big enough. So that's a big goal. Thank you very much, good people.
All right, and just real quick, I also wanted to let everybody know that there's a couple free gifts in the chat. Turning your lead into gold, start your own personal revolution. There's a link for that. And Richard, it looks like you've got something new for everybody. The Autonomy Elite Codes on Sunday, September 7th at 12 p.m. You want to tell us about it real quick?
Well, it's a secret,
Oh, all right.
but it's going on. And the idea is the thing that's popular in our reality are cheat codes and shortcuts. And there's some validity to cheat codes, knowing your way to cut through some BS, right? But shortcuts really don't exist. You just need to learn how to use the best method, the most efficient way, and get the best results. And that can seem like a shortcut when you become proficient. So I want to like take away the wish for something that like the wish for the unicorn and get people into horses. You know what I'm saying? It's like let's leave the things that aren't real and work with the things that are. And here's how you can actually achieve results and get from A to B. And you could do that on a horse. So I made that metaphor make sense, though it wasn't on purpose. The other part is that might not be on your reminders there. We are doing another autonomy screening before, I think it's the last one of the season. It's next Friday. It's at a similar time. And it is America Freedom to Fascism. It's a documentary film about how taxation might be something that's cognitized as theft, question mark. I'm not sure. We'll have to see. By Aaron Russo. And if you don't know Aaron Russo, He's a famous Hollywood. Well, he's a producer. Like he brought Led Zeppelin to the United States. He was a music producer. He bumped into some mafia once upon a time. It's interesting stories. He became a film producer in Hollywood. He made Trading Places with Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy. And then because of that success and the corruption he saw, he kind of became a whistleblower, ruined his career a little. He did this show in Vegas that no one's really seen. I think it was called Mad as Hell. And if you watch that, then you could see the inspiration behind America, Freedom to Fascism. So Aaron Russo, Mad as Hell. It was Las Vegas, 2000, something like that. So anyway, we'll have conversation and then watch the movie, and then we'll learn a lot during that process because it's been almost 20 years since that film came out. Back to you, Aaron.
Thank you, Richard. I'm just getting the link to the screenings there. And I believe Aaron Russo was also Bette Midler's agent, something like that. So yeah.
He's also the one, he did the infamous Alex Jones interview that talked about Nick Rockefeller and how capitalism was really puppeting Chinese communism. And it was a very interesting conversation. Aaron passed away soon after that conversation. He had some sort of cancer that was very aggressive. I was looking to meet him and he was looking to meet me in Chicago back in 2006. And he ended up being in Germany for treatments at that time. So I never got to meet him in person, but very interesting guy, and his work deserves to be honored and studied.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, everybody, I thank you very much for being here. Ed, thank you very much for hosting tonight's
Pleasure.
Autonomy Quest. Dave, thank you very much for being our guest. You were fantastic.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yep. And good to meet you, Philip. We'll see you around. If you didn't notice in the chat, we'll try to get you on Circle as quick as we can. And to everybody else, all you graduates and students out there, have a great Labor Day weekend, and we will see you the next time.
All right, thank you.
Have a good night, wherever you are.
Happy Labor Day.
Happy Labor Day. Peace.